All right, people. It's not a controversial statement to say that when you import the third world, you risk becoming the third world. Actually, you end up becoming the third world. Last week, I showed you a video of British Pakistanis born and raised in Britain, how they do third worldly things in Britain, like this woman.
We're investigating immigration advisors that are encouraging migrants to cheat the asylum system.
So I showed you this video where Pakistani men who are not gay, they're being told by British Pakistani lawyers to pretend to be gay. They will help you out with your visa application, your asylum case. Have a listen to these men.
After another, those attending tell our undercover reporter that many people at the meeting are not really gay.
मैं तो नहीं हूँ
भाई कोई भी नहीं है इसमें 1% भी नहीं है 1% जानते हो 0.01%.
So it's corruption, yeah? They're not gay. They're pretending to be gay because they know that way they can get their asylum case approved. And in the meantime, they will live in hotels or publicly provided housing at the expense of British taxpayers. But if you thought that this is only happening in Britain, then I'm sorry, you're wrong. Have a look at this new bombshell report. An Indian migration agent banned for lying on visa applications. I'm telling you this, and I've said it before. Old habits die hard. Third worldly habits do not die that easily. Even if you are born and raised in a first world country, those habits do not go away. This is why we've seen second and third generation Pakistanis, they litter as though they are first generation Pakistanis or as though they're living in a Pakistani village. They don't care. We've seen that amongst Indians, Bengalis, Africans. The more you bring in these people, the bigger the percentage of offending people. So have a look at this woman, an Indian migration agent who helped bring thousands of immigrants a year. A year. So she's brought in probably 5, 6, 10,000 Indians on dodgy applications into Australia over the years. And she has just been caught. And guess what? She's only lost her license for 5 years. Into Australia, has been struck off for a long list of violations, not just one, like that woman, the one that I just showed you before in Britain. Her grift was, hey, you want asylum in the UK? Just pretend to be gay. We'll do the rest. This one has got a long list of violations. I don't know. Let's find out. Vineet Kaur Chadha, who worked as Sydney-based Royal Migration Education Consultants, had her registration cancelled for 5 years last month following an investigation into her conduct by the Office of the Migration Agents Registration Authority, OMARA. Chadha, who first registered as a migration agent in 2016. So since 2016, she's brought in thousands of immigrants a year, mostly from India. I know that. When a Pakistani comes to Australia and he wants an immigration lawyer, for some reason, they always go to a Pakistani lawyer. And it's the same with Indians. My immigration lawyer, I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, she was an Aussie. I don't know why I always picked Aussies. Well, I guess I knew I'm not going to do anything dodgy. I think, let me see if she's still around. Oh yeah, she's still around. Her name is Karina Ford Immigration Lawyers. She's still in Footscray. Well done. Yeah, so she was my immigration agent. A wonderful Aussie lady. Wouldn't do anything wrong. She'll help you out with filing your paperwork. That's how things should be. But if you think that a person from a third world country is going to hold himself or herself to the same standards, you're a fool. I'm sorry. But I get it. When you import people from other cultures, how can you discriminate? I mean, you can't look at every Indian or Pakistani as a suspect or as a dodgy person. You can't do that. Otherwise, it will look like institutional racism or bigotry. That's why the solution is very simple. Do not bring in hundreds of thousands of people from other cultures. That's the only solution, guys. And I'm saying that as a brown man. Chadha, who first registered was investigated after Omara reviewed visa applications she submitted to the Department of Home Affairs and identified concerns the office stated in its decision. Omara then found Chadha had failed to act in accordance with the law by failing to declare immigration assistance she provided to clients. Provided false and misleading information like, hey, if you do this, then you have a better chance of getting approved, and made false and misleading statements in support of applications and to Home Affairs which she knew to be false or misleading. Omara concluded Chadha was not a person of integrity or is otherwise not a fit and proper person to give immigration assistance. Now, I want to know what's going to happen to those thousands of people who got approved because of her assistance. I don't know what's going to happen to them. How many of these people came here on false pretenses? Tens of thousands of them. I know that. You know why I know that? Because I know how Indian and Pakistani societies work. If the Australian government says, hey, we want a referral letter from your previous employer saying that you worked in this company for that many years, and that was your salary. And India would be like, okay, I'll type it up myself and I'll give it to you, and set up a phone number of his friend. And in case you, the Department of Home Affairs, want to verify that, you call that number and his friend answers and says, yes, sir, you worked with me for 10 years. Everything very good here, sir. Okay, job done. Visa approved. That's how simple it is. It used to be very difficult back in my day, though. It used to be difficult. I, for some reason, had assumed that the same standards that we had back in the early 2000s are still at play. Obviously, they're not. They've dropped the ball, and there is a theory behind that, okay? So it's not just their fault, okay? The Australian government and Australian universities, for some reason, got addicted to international student fees. I paid nearly $50,000 for my university fees, okay? Oh, fair enough. Look, great privilege. I'm not complaining. And that gave me an avenue to become an Australian citizen, which is the greatest accomplishment of my life. But when you bring in tens of thousands of international students, that's a lot of money coming into Australia. And guess what? Those Australian universities, they keep expanding. They keep increasing the quota of international students at the expense of our local students. Because the more international students we have, the less room we have for our own kids to go to universities. I don't know. I don't want to call it corruption. Maybe that's just a natural decay. As time goes on, things decay, processes decay. That's why you need a radical solution. Okay, we're going to lose $50 billion if we cut down our international student intake. That's going to cost us $50 billion. You know what? In the interest of social cohesion of Australia, we're going to take that cost and we're going to invest in other areas to recover that lost $50 billion. I just pulled that number out of my backside. I don't know what's the actual number is, but whatever that is, that's how you got to do. But if you are a short-term politician whose eye is on the next general election, then you're not going to make that decision. You'll be like, ooh, $50 billion. What are we going to do? We're going to have to cut Medicare. We're going to have to cut this and that. And, you know, Anthony Albanese, being a Labour politician, these people believe in spending money. These people just spend. They have no idea on how to increase the size of the pie, but they believe in keep sharing that pie with an ever-increasing number of people. That's just socialism for you. It never works. It will never work. So import the third world, become the third world. I just played you this video in my last video. Have a look at this. Look what happens to a country that is abandoned by the people who built it and given to the people who didn't build it. This is Durban. That is going to be the future of Australia. Have a look at this. This is Sydney. You wouldn't see a single Aussie. You would not see a single Aussie here, guys. I don't blame these people. I mean, they're here to improve their lives. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, i.e. live as per their own set of values, as per their own culture. They have a sense of loyalty to their culture. They're here as economic migrants, but once they settle in, they're going to look out for their own interests. And those interests do not converge with Australian interests. Australian society has different interests to these people. I'm sorry, it's just becoming so abundantly clear now that it doesn't even feel odd to state the obvious. It is what it is. Either accept it and slowly die off, or stand up, make a statement. No, we don't want this. I'm sorry, we don't want this. We don't want this third world bullshit. We don't want it. Why is it so wrong to say that?